Welcome, everybody. This is two EdTech guys take questions and share cool stuff. And today we've got something ever so slightly different, right? So in addition to doing what we usually do, answering questions about education, technology, and stuff, all right? In addition to sharing cool stuff, which we also do, we got some cool stuff to share. We will answer questions that you may have about anything that doesn't get us fired. So we hope that you will take advantage of that. Already remembered. All right. And thank you for joining us. We're excited to have you with us. We want to send out special thanks to all the good folks at the Kraft Center for Innovation at Los Altos Hills in California. And then also a thank you to the students in the Long Island University's Masters in EdTech program that they've got a good one there with Betty and Michael. And then there's this somewhat suspicious crowd. What do we got here?
So freetechforteachers.com is my little blog that I started back in 2007 while supervising detention, believe it or not. Fun story there. I actually started the blog while supervising detention, so my level of supervision is suspect. But 15,000 or so blog posts later, it keeps on going. And over the holiday vacation, it might take on a completely new look. Spoiler alert.
Ooh.
Check in January to see what it looks like then.
A new look to Free Tech for Teachers.
Yeah.
That's cool. Way to go, bud. I'm excited for you.
Yeah, it's about 6 years overdue. It's time for a makeover. So working on it.
If it's fine, just keep wearing it. No problem. As long as it's clean. All right, good. I run this little shindig. Next Vista for Learning is an online library of videos by and for teachers and students everywhere, free to use, free to contribute to, free to download from. It's all for a student audience, all screen content, my own little attempt to save the universe from ignorance, one creative video at a time. Ding. All right, so that's my thing. All right, so feel free to give that a look. I'll be telling you about some Next Vista stuff later, including our 2020 Service via Video winner. Woo! Canadians in the house, get ready for some good news. All right, now you can find all kinds of videos on our site about educational things, kind of creative ways of explaining stuff you find in school, communities, service, careers, learning English, advice, all kinds of stuff. So feel free to give that a look. Now, we do another webinar at Next Vista for Learning, another show that we call Activities Across Grade Levels. The next one will be in January, the 21st of January. That's a date you'll hear again. How does this work for us today? We are going to answer some questions, and then we're going to share cool stuff. It's pretty much all captured in the title, really, the way that is. Richard, why don't you get us going with the first question? And we're going to be keeping a real close eye on the chat as well, because in addition to the usual questions about EdTech, we're going to be watching for questions about life, the universe, and anything, which you are welcome to put in, again, as long as it doesn't get us fired. Go right ahead. Richard, start us off. What's our first question today?
First question from Carol, who says, I'm someone of a certain age plus, and while I can use my laptop to do various tasks and create things for my third graders, I know nothing of how to go back to my previous year's worth of documents, slides, PowerPoints, etc., and either delete or organize them. I'm afraid to delete something that is crucial to operating my Mac. I don't even know where to begin because I started teaching at the age of 50 and have no clue how to organize my files. Can you provide me with some guidance? My goal is to have it cleaned up and organized for September 2021. So, first of all, let's talk about all your old stuff.
Let's talk about stuff.
Let's talk about stuff.
Let's just start with stuff.
Stuff, yeah. I've got a bunch. I'm not 50. I'm getting close. I'm closer to it than I was before, but that's beside the point. But anyway, I've got stuff going back to the dawn of the 21st century in terms of teaching materials, right? And some of them are in PDF format. Some of them actually have thumb drives. I have a CD. I found the other day. I got some old stuff. A lot of it I don't need anymore. So let's take a critical look at what do you really need, first of all. And it turns out I'm a pack rat and I didn't really need a lot of it. But some of it I do end up uploading to Google Drive. People don't realize sometimes, if you haven't used Google Drive a lot, that even if it's in PowerPoint format or Keynote format or Pages, you can still store it in Google Drive. And what I do with stuff is I organize it by units. That's kind of how my mind works. I'm not the best organizer of stuff. So they're kind of broad units of, like, when I did US history, it was basically 6 units for the year, roughly 1763 to 1820, kind of all went into one folder. Okay? And then I just use the search function in Google Drive to search when I really need something. That's what I do. But Rushton, you probably have better ideas than me.
Remarkably similar thought there. But I would say that there is this calculus as you go into it, right? So there is a certain amount of time that goes into finding all of these things, doing something with them. And I would agree that if you are looking to keep them, then I would agree that throwing them into Google Drive is a good move, specifically because you can search, and it searches for most of those file types within the file itself as well. However, coming back to the calculus or the calculations, so the time that goes into getting everything where you have to stop and say that represents X amount of time. Y represents the amount of time it would take to recreate something that you would actually look at again. So if you think you will look at these things again and use them again, and you do that enough, then Y exceeds X and you should do it. For a lot of people, the come to Jesus moment is much more of a, I'm not going to do it. I'm just spending a ton of time tossing this stuff here. And, now a lot of that has to do with the complexity of the materials and all, but that's in a just saying department. So, if you are somebody like Sheila out there, is just like lots of folders and subfolders, kudos for doing it as long as it gets used, right? Before we get to the second question, though, speaking of Sheila, she tossed in to the chat, what's your favorite wine? And then she asked red or white. Richard, I'll let you start with that one.
Oh, what's my favorite wine? So Switchback Ridge makes a great cab that I like. I don't make it. All right, Switchback Ridge in Napa Valley. Get on their mailing list. If you want to get on their allocation list, send me an email. I'll get you in. It's not cheap, but it's really good. I got my invite from Leslie Fisher many years ago. That's how I got into it. So if you really want to know about wine, go talk to Leslie Fisher. She
knows.
Yeah.
Yeah, she knows tons about tons, actually. She's rather amazing. All right. A less inspiring, perhaps, answer for me. Well, maybe, depending on what your interests are. I don't drink any alcohol at all, right? Zero. I am my wife's perpetual designated driver, which she thinks is pretty cool, but she would say white. And she likes... is it Kim Crawford? I have no idea. I mean, so I'm just sort of like, hey, like, let's go get a chai, right? That's kind of much more my thing. However, I think it is a perfectly good question to have asked, and way to go starting us off on the life, the universe, and everything questions. All right, so Richard, let's do another EdTech question we got lined up there before we do our first cool share.
And you do know your way around a hummus plate, if I recall correctly, Rush.
I can do hummus. I'm definitely up for hummus.
Yeah. I see. I knew that. So all hummus questions should go to Rushton. All right. So next question came from Curtis, and remarkably, Rushton and I had the same answer for this one. Is there something similar to Jamboard that would allow me to post a question, document, picture, etc., make it uneditable while my students responded, creating a virtual bulletin board of sorts? I teach grades 1 through 6 music in an Apple-based school with iPads. We use Canvas, and I use Pear Deck rather extensively within Canvas for virtual instruction. WebEx is our video tool. Rushton and I both said Padlet.com.
Mm-hmm.
I also would throw in there Wakelet.com. Both would accomplish this goal of you could post a question and your students can respond with all manner of media for it and see everybody's responses without editing someone else's stuff.
Cool. Matter of fact, I am getting that at it. And since I had exactly the same answer, let's actually just kind of move our way on to the first cool thing. So I believe you got something that can move us. See what I did there. All right.
So I have a quick share. Those are my daughters, by the way, hula hooping right there. They are 3 and 4. But I used that picture so I didn't infringe on anyone's copyright for keepingkidsinmotion.com, which is a great blog written by a phys ed teacher for the purpose of sharing activities that your phys ed students can do, or any students can do. It doesn't have to be phys ed. It could be, you're an elementary school teacher and you're looking for something to keep your kids moving along, something to structure a little brain break or something like that. Check it out. They've got great little things. Just go to the blog, keepingkidsinmotion.com. You can sign up for their newsletter. The latest activity they put up there, they update about once a month. It's Justin Cahill updates it about once a month. Is have a blast getting fit, and he's got some GIFs there with some different activities that kids can do in a little circuit. Really, really cool little thing. They got to roll the dice, and most of them have a little video where he demonstrates how the activity actually can be carried out. So check it out, keepingkidsinmotion.com. I've known about the site for a while, and I just think it's a really, really great blog, great activities to keep your kids in motion and do it yourself. Keep yourself in motion. The reason I'm wearing a hat right now is because I'm all sweaty. I just got off my bike, my indoor bike, because it's frozen snow outside and dark already. But keep moving. It's good for you.
So let me make sure I understand what you just said. You're wearing a hat because you're all sweaty.
Yeah, because the sweat was dripping down my head, so it's soaking up so basically, you don't want to smell my hat right now because it's
acting as a headband.
Yeah, more or less. Yeah.
Okay.
And my hair was poofy after getting all sweaty, so I just threw this on.
Yeah. You and I hit some seriously poofy hair.
So, or I could switch it out to my Saskatchewan Roughriders toque.
There you go.
That I have right here, which is my segue into Mr. D, the gym teacher, coming to Amazon Prime this weekend. Fantastic show. You got to watch it.
Nice. So if there is a site for Mr. D that people can kind of take a look at and get a sense of it, feel free to toss that into the chat. And toss in a question. I'm curious if anyone has any recent research that gives recommendations as to how long students should be involved in synchronous remote learning for all grade levels. I've searched and found no real research. And you are asking a perfectly good question that loads of folks have asked. And I will jump in to say, you're not going to find good information on that. And the reason why is because when we look at what it means to be online for any length of time, that cannot be divorced from the idea of what is it that you're doing online, right? Now, like what is the quality, educationally speaking, of what it is you're doing? So, if there's very low quality, then 3 minutes may be like way too long to be online. If it's something for which people are doing really good connections, it may be much longer, and that's fine. And she's like, I'm there, excellent. So may I validate your piece there? And I'll also add that about 98.3% of all educational statistics are completely made up.
Yeah, it's funny. I get a lot of press releases from publishers, as I'm sure you do, Rushton. And I got one over the summer for a book that was coming out. I won't tell you what the book was, but the press release touted that they had analyzed not 36 schools, but 36 students in writing the book.
30. So their sample size was 36 students.
36 students, and they were publishing a book based on that data.
That's like Ann just tossed into the chat. Oh my, which I will. Oh my, educational research. I should go on a bit of a rant. I will try to keep it short. that educational research, for the most part, is, and you can quote me on this one, data-driven deception, right? We've got data. Doesn't mean squat, but we got it. What matters is a connection to a kid and pushing that kid to look at what he or she is doing in new ways and to take it up a notch, right? How is it that you look at what we're working with? How do you learn that? Can you learn that? Once you've learned that, can you make good connections with that? Why is it so hard to get good educational research? Because how do you really measure all that stuff really, right? You know, for every like one person out there that's like Eric, I'm blanking on his last. I'll come up with it. But like there's like this guy at Harvard who's done like amazing research stuff, and then like the next 100 or so folks you read, you're like, anyway. So I'll leave it at that. All right. So next question, Richard.
Yeah. Well, so I threw some links in there while you were talking. My friend Beth Holland, who is one of the smartest people I know, sent me some things on Thanksgiving morning, because we're friends and we chat. On Thanksgiving morning, she sent me a whole bunch of stuff from a project she's worked on called the Parabola Project. It's not real. It all comes from the Learning Accelerator. And it has some nice ideas to think about for blended learning with students of all ages, but in particular for younger students. So check that out, and also check out Beth's website, brholland.com. And Eric Mazur of Harvard is who you're talking about. All right, so we've got, oh gosh, I've lost track of the chat, Rushton. So I'm going to go back to the document while you sort out the chat. Go
ahead and prepare that next question. But essentially, we're getting some really good back and forth in the chat on some ideas. Maggie's jumping in there, and Bonnie. I mean, so I'm still looking for questions that are just questions. So the Eric Mazur's stuff on peer instruction. Oh, that's fantastic stuff. Everything else I've read, almost everything else I've read, not so much. All right, Richard, what we got?
And I'll say that Beth, I believe, has worked with Eric as well. So,
oh, cool.
Here's the question that came from Joanna. I hope you can help me. What would be the best tool to make information on the website below available to my students? I teach English language learners, and we are all virtual at the moment. I want to record and read aloud the article while I highlight, underline information so that my students can follow along and learn how to take notes. I also want to point out important vocabulary. How can this activity be simulated in a virtual classroom? What tools do you recommend? Also, what do you use to record your videos when you show your screen and yourself? And the web page that she was referencing was just a history.com article about the history of Christmas. Doesn't matter what web page it was, but that's the one she was referencing. There are a couple tools you could do this with. If you're looking for a browser-based tool, Screencastify or Loom both have tools you can use to draw on the screen while talking and recording yourself. The tool that I use is Screencast-O-Matic. I use it on my desktop. I have the desktop version of it, which costs me about $25 a year. Gives you a few more features than what you can get if you just use the web browser. But any of those three tools will give you the capability to underline, to highlight, to draw arrows. You do that. You can also use the annotation tools built into Zoom. If you're allowed to record your class meetings in Zoom, do so and just use the annotation tool that's built into Zoom so you can draw on the screen while you're screen sharing.
Very cool. Very cool. Very cool. And I'll get a couple other questions kind of handled in there as well. So Sheila had tossed into the Q&A, looking for fun things to do online with older kids. I found and edited a couple of Kahoots, but need more. So one of the great things about Kahoot is that there's this large community of people creating and sharing stuff, right? That to me is like the best EdTech, usually has that as some kind of a component. I actually am a big fan of Quizizz, Q-I-Z-I-Z-Z, which is also a quiz format thing. And it also has a lot of stuff that other people have created, but has some really good options that keep it from being something that everybody has to follow at the same time and stuff. So quizzes is a pretty good thing there. We've anonymous question came up. What's the best way to show a DVD in a Zoom class? Richard, what say you on this front?
Well, if you have a laptop that will play a DVD, which is harder and harder to come by these days, or you have an external DVD drive that you hook up to your laptop, I would just screen share that way and make sure you change your audio output so that it picks up the DVD player and not just your microphone. That's what I would use.
Recognizing that that depending on the quality of the connection that the kids have, they're not going to see it as cleanly as you see it on your machine, right? So they're going to see it choppy to some degree, and the more motion there is in the video, the more that is noticeable typically. So if you've got a video that's really kind of lower key, that tends to be a little bit easier. All right, we will get to the good discussion happening in the chat regarding video on in just a minute. But first, another cool thing to share. All right, fess up. Everybody in the chat, fess up, all right? How many of you are still looking for some Christmas gifts? All right, toss that out there. Richard raises a hand. I'm looking in the chat for like me, or not me. Got them all done in July or you know, whatever that may be. All right. So here is a thing that I have been doing for the last couple of years with my nieces and nephews that goes over really, really well. And Judith, not me. So what this is just a deck, right? And so what we do is, you know, in early December, I'll send out this deck, and I have identified 4 really, really cool charities. So the Memory Project, which I've talked about before, Magic Wheelchair, which I've talked about before, World Bicycle Relief, amazing crowd that they are, and Cake for Kids, which I believe I talked about in November as well, because I was highlighting a bunch of really cool charities. Now, what this is, all right, is an opportunity for them to look at it and to choose, right? So to look at these and say, I'm going to make a donation to one of these in your honor, niece, nephew, right? And which one would you like? And that actually has yielded some really good stuff from my nieces and nephews, right? I mean, like they've kind of come back with some great thoughts about what the important one was for them. And as hard as it is from a distance to be able to get, you know, that kind of communication with folks, pretty good fun to be able to toss that in there. So here is the big nasty link in the chat that you can click on and take a look at that, create your own version of it if you want. But yeah, hopefully that would be good fun for you. And because it is you know, December and our last show of 2020, second share, woo! All right, what is this? Every year, we do a thing at Next Vista for Learning called Service via Video, where we ask kids to tell the stories of people and organizations who make life better for others. This year, our winner is from Canada. Hey, Canadians in the room. Woo! Hey, so what we've got is this video from a group at a school called the Decker Colony School, right? You know, and they actually a lot of ties to you know, certain parts of Europe, and the accents are fantastic. You know, watch the video just for the accents; it's pretty awesome. But what they did was they learned about you know, a project in Tanzania that they wanted to support, and they started finding ways to you know, like share about it and like get the word out in the community all, and they did some fantastic stuff. Boom! I see Judith apologizing in the chat simply because she's Canadian. Way to go, Judith. All right. And so at any rate, yeah, good fun here. I hope you will give that video a look and let me know what you think. Right? You know you're going to hear from me every time you register for one of the webinars at Next Vista for Learning. You get an email that says, "Hey, here's where you can get back to the recordings." So that's out there as well. Anyway, got questions on that? Toss them in. But I believe we've got time for about 1, maybe 2 more questions. So, Richard.
What I want to follow up on what you said about Sheila's question on looking for fun things to do online with older kids beyond the Kahoots and quizzes.
Yeah.
One of the things that I've been doing with my high school students is basically a stump the chump competition.
Nice reference.
Yeah. Me being the chump, of trying to get, you know, trying to get kids to think of questions. They just come up with questions that they think Mr. Byrne can't answer. Now, when I do that, I have to set some parameters around, like they've got to be school appropriate questions that I can answer without losing my job, that sort of thing, right? But my students are having fun doing that. And I turn that into a spin-off because I teach a course. It's really about problem solving. It's networking and troubleshooting is a lot of what we do. And so I have them come up with scenarios to try to stump each other. And, does it fill up in hours of the time? No. Is it fun to do for 15 or 20 minutes every couple of classes? Yeah, it is. And it definitely like challenges my kids to kind of jog their memory about different things that they've done with me over the last couple of weeks or last couple of months. So do that. Maggie says she loves GimKit or GymKit. I'm not quite sure how to pronounce it still. I call it GimKit. Some of my students call it GimKit. Some kids call it GymKit. I don't know.
GymKite, perhaps.
Perhaps. I don't know.
Perhaps.
All right. One more question.
We can get a quick one in.
Quick one. All right. During one of your Google Forms videos, referring to mine, you had a student account so you could join the class. How did you get that? What I do is I have dummy accounts that I create in which my dog is a student. So that's how I do almost any demo you see me do on my YouTube channel, in which I show a student view and a teacher view. My dog is the student every single time. It's Mason at freetechforteachers.com. Send him an email. He will never reply to you, but you can send him an email.
So that's and more to the questioner's point. That is your domain, and so
that's my domain.
Yes. So for if you are a teacher in like a school domain, you might need to go to somebody and say, would it be okay for me to have a dummy account? So Mr. Watkins dash student or one or whatever it is, right? Just that you can use for that purpose. And the worst you're going to get is a no. So I would consider doing that. I mean, it's really nice to be able to test those things as you go as well.
And if you want your own Google domain, you can buy one for $12 a month. That's what it cost me to have mine, $12 a month.
There are worse ways to spend $12 a month.
Oh, and I know a lot of them.
Well done, sir. So everybody, our next episode will be in 2021. Yes, 2020 will be completely in the books the next time you guys join us, and that's all right. That's just it's all right for 2020 to come to an end. Just saying. Quite a year. At any rate, we were planning to start doing episodes the first and third Thursdays of each month rather than weekly. Judith encourages us all to go out and do random acts of kindness. I think that's an excellent suggestion about making the world a better place. And make sure that you spend time over whatever break you have, just kind of reconnecting with your own energy, right? Just get some sleep and get some exercise and eat right to balance out maybe some of those times when perhaps you won't, because that does happen over the break as well. Those of you who might be doing like a big, Christmas feast, or as we get closer to like a New Year's shindig as well, same kind of thing. But you want to be there for your kiddos. As we do, I like to give away a Starbucks thing. So if you are interested in winning a little Starbucks action, feel free to sign up for my newsletter. If you are already in the newsletter, then go to this page, follow through, and then in comments say already on the newsletter. You will do me a favor and save me a little time. Oh, that is so not at all what I was looking for right there on it. So okay, all right. The basic issue of trying to do two things at once is coming to a predictable conclusion. Okay, boom. So nextvista.org/newsletter sign up. Feel free to click there. And guys, don't ask me for access to that that spreadsheet I just threw up. But at the newsletter sign up, just let me know, and one of you who signs up will win a Starbucks card, right? How much? $5. That's not much. I'm a nonprofit. Better than getting hit by a truck. Just saying. All right, and you might take a look at our site, right? Lots of cool videos from students and teachers around the world. Got some thoughts to share on my blog, Inspiring Improvement. Written some books, also great ideas for Christmas gifts there in the Just Saying department. And then there's this. What we got here?
This also makes a fantastic gift for all seasons and all occasions because it's free. You can check it out in the Practical EdTech Handbook. Sign up for my newsletter. It comes out on Sunday evenings or Monday mornings, depending on your time zone and the behavior of my toddlers over the weekend. So check it out, practicaledtech.com/weekly-newsletter. 64 pages of my favorite cool tools and things. Go to my YouTube channel where I make funny faces like that one, and do all kinds of tutorials on all manner of EdTech related things, including my most recent one on how to reduce background noise in your Zoom calls.
Ooh. Nicely done, sir. Y'all, we have reached the end of the last 2020 episode of Two EdTech Guys Take Questions and Share Cool Stuff. I hope that over the course of this episode and over the course of the year, you have gotten some good ideas from us, because we love sharing them, and you know, several of you have come back repeatedly. Kudos to you. You are way up on our favorite people list. And we hope that you will find time, like Judith says, to do some kindness over the coming weeks, right? You know, find that way to, you know, just make the world a better place, because that just is better for everybody. So, you know, and if you have some extra questions for us, stick around. We'd be happy to answer them. But with that, we will finish the recording, and we look forward to seeing you in 2021.